Assalamu alaikum, my dear student. I, Roxana Parveen, Senior Lecturer, Department of Biology, welcome you to class number 22 from chapter 8 from Biology second paper. Today's topic is structure of brain. These learning objectives are different parts of brain, roles of specific functions of brain, and coordination accomplished by brain. We know during embryonic stages, brain is formed of three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Let's focus on different lobes. You see, there are total 6 lobes in the brain found in different, locations. Here, one frontal lobe situated in front of your face, parietal, or just the location of your forehead, and parietal lobe just at the middle surface area, which is found in left and right locations, and 2 temporal lobes and 1 occipital lobe. Let's know about the different lobes, their functions and locations. First of all, frontal lobe. The frontal lobe is separated from the parietal lobe by a space called central sulcus, and from the temporal lobe by the lateral sulcus. The frontal lobe is generally where higher executive functions including the emotional regulation, planning, reasoning, and problem solving occurs. This is why this frontotemporal dementia, personality changes are often the first signals of this disease. Temporal lobe. This one is separated from the frontal lobe by lateral feature. That temporal lobe also contains regions dictated to processing sensory information, particularly important for hearing, recognizing language, and forming memories. This has different important functions. You see, auditory information, visual processing, and memory. Occipital lobe. The occipital lobe is the major visual processing center of the brain. The primary visual cortex, known as V1, receives visual information from eyes. The information is relayed to several secondary visual processing areas, which interpret depth, distance, location, and the identity of skin objects. Parietal lobe. The parietal lobe is found in behind the frontal lobe, separated by the central sulcus. Areas in the parietal lobe are responsible for integrating sensory information, including touch, temperature, pressure, and pain. Because of the processing that occurs in the parietal lobe, we are able to, for example, discern from the touch alone that 2 objects touching the skin at nearby points are distinct rather than one object. The process is called 2-point discrimination. Different areas of the body have more sensory receptors, and so we are more sensitive than others in discerning the distinct points. Using the calipers or a folded paperclip and asking a subject to keep their eyes closed, this test can be used to check the parietal lobe function. Let's focus on the diagram very carefully. Here I am trying to show the gray matter and white matter. The overall brain, especially the cerebrum portion, the most functional portion of the brain, is formed of 2 portions called the gray matter at the outside part of the brain and inside the white matter. The upper portion of the brain, especially the cerebrum, is covered by a thick membrane called meninges. Meninges is formed of 3 layers. One is dura mater, another is arachnoid matter, and third is pia mater. Pia mater is found just close to the brain, and arachnoid matter is found in between the pia mater and dura mater. Let's focus on this diagram, and this one is the scalp where hair grows up, and these are the layers of the connective tissue. Then the covering of the bone is called the periosteum. Here the bony skull started. Here the meninges, formed of 3 layers: dura mater, arachnoid mater, and pia mater. If any infection occurs in the arachnoid mater, the disease is called the meningitis. Human brain, the side shows different parts. You see the yellowish part is called cerebrum or forebrain. The inside different connective tissues are there, and midbrain is found in between forebrain and the hindbrain. Hindbrain is formed of 3 parts: pons, medulla oblongata, and cerebellum. You see the location of the hypothalamus. This one is the hypothalamus portion, and just above the hypothalamus, thalamus is found. Well, there are some groups on the brain. You see lots of groups are there in the cerebrum. The lower groups are called sulcus and upper groups are called gyrus. In plural form, sulci and gyri can be called or can be said. And inside the cerebrum, you see different parts are there. Let's know about the location of cerebrum. These are found in the upper part of the cranial cavity, which is a space inside the top of the skull. And left hemisphere and right hemisphere are separated into 2 groups called longitudinal fissures. The right half of the cerebrum controls the left side of the body and vice versa. The 2 halves are linked by the corpus callosum. This is a bundle of neural fibers. This passes the message between the 2 halves so that they can communicate and coordinate with each other. The brain has 3 main parts. We know the cerebrum and the cerebellum and brain stem or the midbrain. Cerebrum is the longest or largest part of the brain and is composed of right and left hemispheres. Thalamus. The thalamus has multiple functions. However, generally it acts as a relay station, I told before, or a hub relaying information or between the different subcortical areas and the cerebral cortex. The thalamus plays a major role in regulating the arousal, the level of awareness, and their activities. Damage to these thalamus can lead to the permanent coma. Hypothalamus. This is responsible for the regulation of certain metabolic processes and other activities of the autonomic nervous system. The hypothalamus controls body temperature, hunger, important aspects of parenting, and attachment behaviors, thirst, fatigue, sleep, emotions, and the circadian rhythms or biological clocks. The hormones produced in the hypothalamus play important roles such as corticotropin releasing hormones, dopamine growth hormones releasing hormones, somatostatin or gonadotropin releasing hormones, and thyrotropin releasing hormones. Pons. This is a part of hindbrain. The pons contains nuclei that relay signals from the forebrain to the cerebellum, along with the nuclei that deals primarily with sleep, respiration, swallowing, bladder control, hearing, equilibrium, taste, eye movement, facial expressions, facial sensation, and posture. Let's focus on the different aspects of cerebellum. The cerebellum receives information from the sensory systems, the spinal cord, and other parts of the brain, and then regulates motor movements. The cerebellum coordinates voluntary movements such as posture, balance, coordination, and speech, resulting in smooth and balanced muscular activity. It also is important for learning the motor behaviors like dancing, walking, or spatial skills on games and athletic activities. Medulla oblongata, the most important and longest part of hindbrain. The medulla oblongata helps to regulate breathing, heartbeat, and blood vessel functions, digestion, sneezing, and swallowing. This part of the brain is a center for respiration and circulation. Sensory and motor neurons, such as nerve cells from forebrain and midbrain, travel through the medulla. The medulla oblongata receives its blood supply from several arteries, including the anterior spinal artery, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and the vertebral arteries' direct branches. The medulla contains both myelinated and unmyelinated nerve fibers called white matters and gray matters too, respectively. Well, the largest portion of brain or the whole portion of brain connects the spinal cord with a special kind of connectors, but they need a way to pass through the spinal or the hollow space of the vertebral column. This hollow space of the skull is called the foramen magnum, which is called the way to move towards the spine. Let's focus on the location here. There's a side view of a skull. At this position, there is a hollow groove, and this one is the foramen magnum, showing the foramen magnum groove over there. The point is here. Can you understand?